You might want to just hang tight over there for a second, because I got a few things to say. For those that don't know me, my name is Roger, and I have known Jeff since he was 9 years old. We played on the Little League baseball team together, and after that baseball season, I actually lost touch with him for a couple of years because we didn't go to the same school, so I didn't run into him again until we were in high school. For those that read the wedding website, by the way, I'm the one that they refer to as Good Time Charlie. So Tiffany might be maybe a little nervous that I've got a microphone in my hand, but I promise to keep it PG-13. And after that icing incident over there a few minutes ago, I don't know what's going to come out. The printer at the hotel didn't work, so I'm going to read from my phone a little bit if you guys don't mind. I know most of Jeff's secrets, but I'm not going to reveal them all because I have a feeling in a couple of years he's probably going to be standing in this same spot doing this same thing. Jeff and I have grown up together and we've hit most of our major milestones together. We graduated high school together. We ended up at separate colleges. I graduated in 4 years. Jeff took his time. He enjoyed school. After Jeff graduated, he and I decided that we were going to get an apartment and move in together. So we did that. We lived in Brookhaven for 2 years. And then at the end of that, we decided that we were both ready to become homeowners. So I bought my townhouse and he bought the place that he and Tiffany are now going to call their home. Over time, we have watched many of our friends get married and make babies, and I think a lot of people in this room have kind of made bets as to which one of us was going to fall first. But as soon as Tiffany came into Jeff's life, I think we all knew the answer to that question. Before I get really mushy though, I'm going to back up just a minute. I am going to reveal some of your secrets. Yeah, here we go. So as I mentioned, Jeff and I were on the same 9-year-old baseball team. And back then he was a pudgy little fella, so he was our catcher. When I did catch back up with him in high school, I had been going to a private school, and then it was my first experience with a public school. So I was a very little fish in a very big pond. Jeff, however, had been going to school with most of the people at our high school, so he was a much larger fish in that same pond. My first impression of Jeff was he was very cocky. If you've ever seen a movie where you've got that, typical cocky high school jock, that was Jeff. He was very competitive, and he and I actually were very competitive with each other for several years. Our sophomore year, we both started wrestling, and we probably had the worst wrestling coach in the history of wrestling coaches, Coach Tom Van Tone. However, Coach Van Tone gave Jeff his nickname, which sticks to this day. I'm not going to say it. And he taught Jeff his favorite wrestling move, which is the 5-on-2. We played football together as well, and even though Jeff has skinny little chicken legs, he's a very tough competitor and he plays his heart out in every game. Our junior year, I actually helped Jeff get one of his first jobs, which was at the Golden Corral. And I'm still amazed that we didn't burn that place down. During our senior year, I actually realized that Jeff has a slight case of narcolepsy. And he falls asleep in some of the strangest places. These include, but are not exclusive of, my parents' front yard, my college backyards, plural. Not maybe a year before he met Tiffany, he slept at the front entrance of my townhome community in the bushes. And for anybody that doesn't know, he actually slept in his truck in this parking lot last night. And that's not a joke. That actually happened. After high school, Jeff and I went on to separate colleges, and I only saw him a couple of times a year when he would come up for parties. Remember, Good Time Charlie here, I threw all the parties, and Jeff knew where to come. So, as Jeff is in school and he's studying to be a structural engineer, that just scared me to death, right? Because I'm thinking this boy is responsible for keeping buildings erect and keeping bridges from falling down. And I asked him one time, when he had very first graduated, to please give me a list of the projects that he was working on so I could stay far, far away from any of those. Yeah, I know, payback, right? So after graduation is when Jeff and I actually started to get really, really close. at some point you start to grow up, and we both did it a little slower than most, but you really want to start being around good people and people that you admire, people that you want to be like, and I think he and I both provide that for each other. Jeff has always had a very strong moral compass. He's got a very strong faith, and he's very much involved with his family, and I admire him for that. That's when we got our apartment, and I never knew that I had so many problems until I moved in with Jeff. And anybody that knows Jeff has probably heard this at least once. You know what your problem is?
Yep.
So our first week in the apartment, Jeff actually managed to flood it. They had given us a washer and dryer as part of our lease agreement. And Jeff was not patient enough to actually hook it up and put the drain hose into the wall so that the water would drain away. I had a lunchbox, and he thought that he could put the drain hose into the lunchbox and that would suffice. And needless to say, it didn't. So I come home from work, and I walk in the door, and Jeff is sitting comfortably on the couch watching television, and there is water just flooding out of the kitchen. And he's oblivious to the whole thing. So we cleaned this mess up. We hooked the washing machine up. We kind of had to jerry-rig it with some duct tape and a wire coat hanger. And that lasted for about 6 months, and then that fell out, and we flooded the apartment a second time. As roommates, Jeff and I got along very well, with the exception of our styles for loading the dishwasher. I think I about drove the boy crazy because he would load his dishes and he'd put about 5 or 6 in there and then want to run it. And I wanted to run the thing full. So I'd always be behind him, rearranging his dishes. And if he ever caught me doing that, boy, he'd just get mad. His face would turn red. I'm sure you guys have seen that a time or two. Jeff has had some classic vehicles over the year. I was thinking earlier today, and I had to remember the first one. He had this duck yellow Plymouth that he drove in high school. And then he had this little S10 that he drove around for a while. He about killed me in that one night. It was raining, we're on I-75, we're driving on a donut for the second week in a row. And he spins the thing around twice, where 75 goes back on to 85 north. That's one of the closest times I've come to death in my life. About a month before our lease was up, I come home one day from work and I hear this strange noise coming from Jeff's bedroom. And I just kind of shake my head because you never know what kind of sounds are going to come from Jeff's bedroom. So I go into my room and Jeff comes home a little while later. And that's when I got introduced to Maddie. I wasn't crazy about having a dog in the apartment. First, because we had signed an agreement that we weren't going to have a dog in the apartment. Secondly, I'm not really a dog person, but I've watched Jeff and Maddie over the last, 8 years or so since we moved out of that place. And as you guys can tell today from the ceremony, Jeff and Maddie are a very important part of each other's lives. And I'm sure that God brought them together for a very specific reason, just like He's brought you two together for a very specific reason. And I'm glad to see that Tiffany and Maddie have bonded in the way that they have. And I'll wrap it up by saying this. We've had some crazy times, right? But I'm very proud of the man that you've become. I look up to you, I admire you a lot. And I know that you're going to take great care of her. And Tiffany, I am trusting that you're going to take equally as good care of her. So with that, I'm done.